So one of the stories that I assigned to read for this module is Eudora Welty's story, Why I Live at the P.O. And I'm going to admit, this is one of my favorite stories. And if you don't like it, that's okay. The characters in this story are very interesting to me. And even though we only learn about the characters from a secondhand point of view through the narrator, I find them very finely drawn. Now, Eudora Welty does not tell us about the characters. She shows us the characters in a sense. And, of course, writers should always show, not tell. But it is through the character of Sister that we hear and come to understand everything about the characters in this story, and also come to understand about Sister herself. But first I want to ask you, and I have some notes here, and I'm going to be referring to the book, so bear with me. What do we know about these characters? How are they drawn? How are they presented? And again, I already said, how do we find out? Through Sister, of course. Which leads me to the next question, and going back to the point of view that we talked about in Poe, is the narrator to be trusted? Can we look through Sister's eyes? Or are we only getting what Sister wants to tell us? Is it an accurate view, or is it colored by her biases? And what kind of biases does she have? Well, we learn right at the beginning of the story, she is primed for a big bias when she says, talking about her sister Stella Rondo coming home from up north and her husband, Mr. Whitaker, I quote, Sister, of course, I went with Mr. Whitaker first when he first appeared here in China Grove taking pose yourself photos. And Stella Rondo broke us up, told him I was one-sided. And I won't go into what one-sided is, but if you've read that, you'll know. So what kind of biases does Sister have against Stella? And what kind of biases does she have against her family? And these are questions that you should always ask when the point of view is first person. You can ask it in third person as well, but third person is a little bit different. Second person, yeah, you should question it then as well. So, having asked you that, then let's examine some of the characters in this story. Now, first of all, or maybe it's second of all, I want you, when you read a story, watch a movie, or anything else, always pay attention to the names. Does that mean that the names are always going to have some symbolism or give you insight to the characters? No, but quite often they will. And I'm going to refer to the movie The Matrix. And in that, the names are very important. And you have the main character, Neo. And Neo means new. So he is the new savior, the new person, however you want to apply that to the character. So names are important. And in this story, names are important, and they give us some clues to the character. First of all, we have Sister. What kind of a name is that? Sister is never given a name like Susie, Sally, Betty, or Barbara. She remains Sister. And through that, we can understand that that's how she is perceived by the rest of her family. She has no personality. She's also the only person in this story who seems to have a job outside of the house, and yet she still remains highly anonymous. What do the people at the post office call her when they come in to get their mail? We don't know. But if you examine the other names, then we see where some of the importance lies in this family, or lays in this family. For example, Stella Rondo. Well, first of all, Stella means star. What does that say about Stella? And poor Sister, who has no name, sharply contrasts with Stella, who has two, because she is consistently referred to as Stella Rondo. They refer to Stella Rondo's husband as Mr. Whitaker. That gives an indication to their relationship with him. And then there is Uncle Rondo. That's pretty easy. But there is Papa Daddy. Papa Daddy is also very important, or a dominant person in this family, because he too is important enough to have two names. So the names are very telling. The little girl, Shirley T., she's named after Shirley Temple. That is a hope rather than probably an actual resemblance. Now, as we go on through the story and examine other aspects, and I hate to say I am so sorry. I'll try to limit my ums. Did it again. We can only see these characters through the eyes of Sister. And so we need to start asking other questions. For example, who is really doing all of the instigating and the trouble between Sister and Papa Daddy and Sister and Uncle Rondo? Because she has conflicts with both of those people. And in the book on page 594, Stella says to Papa Daddy, Papa Daddy, Sister says she fails to understand why you don't cut off your beard. Well, is that what Sister said? And why does Stella say this to Papa Daddy? She must have some ulterior motive. And I would venture to say that the ulterior motive is to bring Sister down even more in her ranking in this family. Stella wants to be the star. And then later you have the incident of Uncle Rondo and the pink kimono. Now, again, what can we infer about Uncle Rondo wearing this pink kimono from Stella's trousseau? It's not overtly stated, but yet at best we can think that he is eccentric. I get this image in my mind of this man wearing this incongruent pink kimono. But again, it is Stella Rondo who says to Uncle Rondo, whom she is named after, and this is on page 598. So Stella Rondo says, Sister says, Uncle Rondo certainly does look like a fool in that pink kimono. And then Sister asks, do you remember who really said it? So we are drawing a portrait of Stella Rondo. And it's not a very flattering one. But at the same time, I don't think the Sister is painting a portrait of herself that's very flattering either. And I'm going to stop there, and I'll be back in a minute.